to Deep Dive Discussion, where we explore the ideas, strategies, stories, and inspiration that really matter.
Today we're jumping into Mitch Albom's novel, The First Phone Call from Heaven.
Right. The premise is, well, pretty stunning. People in a small Michigan town start getting phone calls from loved ones who've died.
Yeah, it's a concept that immediately grabs you, and it sets the stage perfectly to explore some really deep themes.
Exactly. We want to unpack what this story tells us about faith, about dealing with grief, about hope, and also skepticism when something, seemingly impossible happens.
It really focuses on those very human reactions.
So think of this as getting the key insights, those aha moments from the book, without feeling overwhelmed.
And central to it all is this character, Sully Harding. He's lost his wife, he's grieving, and he's pretty suspicious about these calls.
He becomes the sort of investigator trying to figure out if these calls are real or something else.
Which creates a great central tension. So this miracle, these calls from the afterlife, how does the town initially react?
Well, it's definitely not simple. The book shows this huge wave of hope, right?
Oh, absolutely. For the people receiving the calls, it's this profound sense of comfort, a reconnection they desperately craved. You feel that pull.
But it's not all comfort and joy, is it?
No, not at all. It becomes incredibly divisive. You have believers, and then you have the doubters, like Sully. It splits the community.
And that really brings us to some core ideas in the book, like this tension between hope and proof.
People cling to that hope so tightly, even when there's no logical explanation, no hard evidence.
It speaks volumes about that human desire for meaning, doesn't it? Especially when you're hurting.
Exactly. Comfort often outweighs the need for, concrete proof in those moments. Grief makes you vulnerable.
Yeah, that vulnerability. The book shows how grief can really shift your perception, maybe make you more open to believing the unbelievable.
Precisely. That longing for one more word, one more sign, it's powerful. And the calls seem to offer just that.
The book also seems to suggest that faith and doubt aren't always enemies. They can kind of coexist.
Yeah, I think that's a really nuanced point it makes. Faith isn't presented as just blind acceptance. For some characters, it's a struggle. It involves questions.
So doubting doesn't automatically cancel out faith.
Right. It can even be part of deepening it in a way, wrestling with those questions.
And underlying all of this is that universal desire for connection, especially with those we've lost.
That's a huge driver in the story. It's why the calls have such an impact. They seem to fulfill this fundamental human need.
But then you have Sully pushing for the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Why is that so important in the narrative?
Well, the book seems to argue that while hope is vital, facing the truth, whatever it is ultimately necessary for genuine healing.
So avoiding the truth, even for comfort, isn't the real path forward.
It suggests not. Sully's journey is about finding that truth, even if it bursts the bubble, because that's part of processing his own grief, too.
It's interesting, too, how the calls come via technology phones, but the book seems to point towards something else for real spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's a subtle critique almost, like technology is the medium here, but the real connection, the spiritual substance that lies in memory, in love, in how we live, not just in a device.
And what about how belief itself starts to shape what happens in the town?
Oh, definitely. As more people start believing the calls are real, it changes behavior, it changes the whole atmosphere. It shows how belief, collectively held, can kind of create its own reality, its own consequences.
And the book touches on forgiveness, too, right? And the fact that grief doesn't just follow a neat timeline.
Yes, those are important threads. Forgiveness, both of others and maybe yourself, emerges as part of moving on. And it really emphasizes that healing is personal, messy, and takes its own time. There's no deadline.
So summing it up, it uses this really extraordinary premise.
Yeah, calls from heaven.
To explore these incredibly common, very human experiences.
Yeah.
Hope, grief, faith, doubt, connection, truth.
It takes the fantastical and makes it a lens on the human heart, really. How we cope with loss and the unknown.
It definitely leaves you thinking. What would it mean for you if the seemingly impossible became possible? How would you balance that desire for connection with the need for truth?
That's a powerful question to sit with after reading it.
This program is produced by Ysh Estayo, the creator of this program.
It certainly gives you something to consider.
Thanks for listening. Grab Ysh Estayo's latest book on Amazon. Need business consulting, artificial intelligence, book writing, and publishing? Ysh has your back. Contact Ysh Estayo or leave a comment. Until next time, keep diving deep.